episode 591 comes to you live on the 11th of November 2022. After the incidents of last evening and all the shusha about it and all the disappointments, being annoyed, and all the reactions which even emojis cannot sustain, there would be a lack of emojis in the way people reacted after last night's events. What was that? We'll come to it. But it's time to shed crocodile tears because most of us were shedding crocodile tears. I don't think it made a difference to any of us if the team lost, the team won. Yes, because we invest so much in tickets and we spend 2 or 3 hours traveling on the ground, and then we are stalking the players like anything to get one autograph, one photograph. We are taking out so much time from other activities. We expect them to perform at 200%. One can say that the other teams did and this team did not. But that's how sport is. It's something that cannot be explained. Why yesterday happened? Is it right to be shell shocked? Yes, because you had 70, 80,000 people in the stadium and they went silent, so silent that it may have been like there was nobody in the stadium. And then once the incident happened, the Indian media was at its venomous best, spitting out expletives. Why this happened? Power failure, flop show, misfits of a few players, the ruthless aggression, the brand of cricket they were talking about, they did not implement it. They failed at the juncture where they had an opportunity to get the title and the cup in their hands. And then once this happens, for the next possible 1 week, they're going to target a few players because they love it. They have nothing else to contribute. And interestingly, a former player said that you would see a few individuals taking a break or not being a part of the T20 structure. But didn't I say that a day before that? So how ironical is that? But well, sometimes we are all on the same wavelength when it comes to such situations. But once the media opens its fangs, it's not going to close. I'm sure had this been hockey and had we lost 10-0 to another team, we wouldn't have reacted this way because we don't think hockey has that kind of commercial value which this sport has. Or had we lost to, let's say, Vietnam in football 5-0 or something, we wouldn't have reacted. You wouldn't have seen anything on pseudo media, print media, electronic media, pseudo experts shouting at the top of their voice, why it happened, why it happened, why it happened. But let me just tell you, if it happened, it happened. And then jo hota hai, अच्छे के लिए होता है. It's time to move on. But still, since we are in the mode, so let's, for the sake of discussion, discuss what were the areas where the team could not implement. It's not just this match, it's the entire tournament because one will say that the 5 matches they played in the group stage, they were lucky enough to win 4 of them. And the way they played against relatively weaker teams, mediocre teams, and they had a few individuals scoring runs consistently. And when that individual did not contribute in yesterday's match when he was supposed to, and as someone had already predicted, we were always going to fall 15-20 runs short. So let's just discuss what were the places where they lacked the thing to go to the next round. Power play failure. This has been a discussion over the past 1 year that the captain has been talking about playing an aggressive brand of cricket, being very aggressive in the first 6-7 overs, which worked. But once they came to the World Cup, they somehow stymied that, and neither of the openers could do much because the fast bowlers were either good or they were holding themselves back. One doesn't know what happened. I don't think it's actually a failure, but since everyone is using that word, So let's use that word. For me, yes, you scored 60 runs in 6 overs. Everyone appreciates your effort. And then a few individuals said they are playing the T20 version like a 50-over version. I don't see anything wrong with it. You can start slow and you can finish fast. Because yes, the opposite team went bang, 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 but let me tell you, it was just a bit of luck on their part that whenever they hit the ball, it went for a four or a six and it eluded the fielders. Sometimes that's what that team needs. But us being gullibles and with a limited brain, the brain which processes things is anyways deteriorating for most of the pseudo experts, and it's shrinking to the size of a mushroom. It's got so small that it's almost invisible, so don't think. They get carried away, and they did carried away by the way the opposition team batted, who went bang, 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 scoring at over 12 runs per over. Our bowlers could not cope up. All the efforts in the first 5 matches were deemed useless, and once again the semi-final block happened. As you know, there's a term called writer's block, but it's not a term. We have invented and fabricated a term called writer's block. Now we're going to invent a term called the semi-final block. Yes, you slip at the semi-final hurdle, but at least you have reached there. How poetic it would have been had we gone through 2 or 3 more hurdles. That is group stage, then we went to the quarterfinals, then the semi-finals, and then maybe if we didn't implement the plans, one could say, okay, there were some things. Then controversial or not controversial, good, bad, or ugly, I don't know. The selection of Chahal or the non-selection of Chahal in the 11 was something that was always going to bite them, because every team had a couple of good leg spinners, especially all-rounders, and that is why the opposition team was able to restrict us. We went with what we call finger spinners, where they don't turn the ball and they're too accurate. So the batters took advantage of that. So I don't believe in this leg spinner, finger spinner, wrist spinner theory, because these theories are just outdated. The style of play was outdated, not. I will not comment on that, because they had something in mind. The other team was able to do the job, good for them. They were not able to do the job, well, commiserations. But let's not get into this whole Chahal not selected, where it will become a controversy. Don't be surprised if the highest echelons of the Indian Cricket Board asks the coach and the captain, why was this guy not selected? They will obviously be influenced, affected by reports in the media, by what pseudo experts will say, which has no value. They can say what they want. Of course, there will be an internal report of the entire tournament, and the captain, coach, and whoever has to say it, they will send it to the Indian Cricket Board and the required individuals. And I hope the venomous Indian media is not so greedy that they want to have a copy of that report. Let's not be so greedy. Let some things be internal. Otherwise, I would ask, why do we have such mediocre journalists, writers in most of the Indian newspapers? They're not able to punch together words. You look at how they write, the quality is going down. Forget the quality of the sport or quality of how India performed yesterday. You look at the quality of the writing, it's going down, down, down. It's seen as if they're just selecting people because they need people. They don't look at the experience. They don't look at as if can the individual provide something concrete, something valuable. The editor must be saying, I need to fill the space. If the team does well, appreciate it. If the team does not do well, go extreme and write everything negative. Ask the pseudo experts and ask them to be negative and extreme. And that's what happened in the newspapers. And that's what is expected to happen in the further days, incoming days. And then the same old repetition. He should not be there. He should not be there. He is reaching a certain age. You might see a change of captain. You might see change of personnel. It happens. Why are we getting so rigid about it? It always happens. Yes, this particular loss is hurtful as any loss is, but there have been worse hurtful losses than this. But then 25, 30, 40 years ago, the the Indian media was not as invested as they are today. They have a skin in the game, so they have right to ask questions, RTI, but I wouldn't even do that. Let's not get too harsh. But if you want to get too harsh, then you be harsh for all sports. If India doesn't do well tomorrow in the Asian Boxing Championships, in the Wrestling Championships, if they flutter at the final level, if they flutter at the quarter-final level, then go after those wrestlers, go after those boxers, go after those other sports individuals in the same way you've gone after them. Make it into a balanced thing. You can't make it unbalanced. We cannot have unbalanced diet, so we cannot have an unbalanced view of only going after one sport. Why? Because they have invested money or they have sent some wannabe failed journalist to Australia and they may feel that that trip is a failure. Whichever team made to the final, good for them. It was always going to happen. Moving on, the curious case of KL Rahul. He came with all the hype. He performed well in the previous private series. He did well in the couple of games. But overall, he could not carry on and maybe he fused out. He did not have enough left in the tank. It happens. Traveling and going bang, bang, bang. It can happen. So maybe Rahul would not be in their plans going further. So do we see the end of Rahul? Which Rahul? At least the one who is playing right now. I don't know about the other Rahul, what the Indian Cricket Board has in mind, but this Rahul could find himself in deep, deep trouble. As far as his partner is concerned, he is the captain, so he may be there for a while, but there's a full year for the 50 over World Cup. Who knows what will happen? I'm not going to say they're going to win because once I say it, then you'll tell me if they don't, then why did I support them? And then lack of planning and many misfits. Well, lack of planning means they did not go with the right personnel or someone was missing in the case of Bumrah and Jadeja who were missing in action due to injuries. Chahal was not selected. The wrong individual was selected like Akshar Patel and there were too many like for like in the top three. I do not agree with that. Maybe they did not strike this time, but every team has that 125, 130 kind of individual. Every team has that. But then we are so enthused by those teams that we may not agree with it. So, what was a lack of planning? I don't know. Look, yesterday was one of those days where the punch was such that you were knocked out, literally knocked out from a knockout game. And that's something that can happen. Didn't Australia beat India 7-1 in the Commonwealth Game finals after India defeated all the teams with such elan? Did we do that? So why are we questioning this? Lack of planning, misfits. Let me tell you who is a misfit. There are a lot of commentators who are a misfit. It's not because they never played the game or they played one game in their entire career and they're handed the mic and told to just be venomous. I won't take names because they don't even deserve their names to be taken, but there are a couple of really big time misfits who don't even deserve a place in that so called expert panel. In fact, none of them deserve it. Why don't we do over all of that? Once we do that, once we get younger, fresher individuals, even if all of them have not played the sport, the anchors, the so called experts who are called by the channel, everyone has to go. There has to be a complete personal change, even in the misfits whom we call experts. It's not just the players. Players will go, they will retire, they will sit on the sofa and they relax. They may become coaches or administrators, who knows. India has lost in worse situations, and yet we have seen the same individuals go on to become coaches and take up such roles. But the misfits, the real misfits, are a couple of so-called experts whose name shall not be taken because they don't have the right to have their name taken. but we all know who they are. If you want to know, you can ask me separately, but they are the misfits, not the players, because there is no lack of players. If one doesn't do well, there are 20 waiting to take that spot. So that's how exciting it is. And then this is not entirely true. This is something that is made up, because you will see this made up line tomorrow. The coach and the captain not on the same page about selections, about certain things. I won't go into details as to what is the exact being not on the same page, not on the same wavelength. It always happens. You can't expect the coach and the captain to be on the same wavelength. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Let's not get carried away by what happened in yesterday's match, because it's not going to repeat itself. Finals will be totally different ball game. I'll talk about that. But this is something that the pseudo media, the electronic media, the PPED media is going to lap it up. They're going to come up with some ridiculous, no evidence story that this is happening. But then if you lose, this is what is going to happen. We don't know what happened after the match. Were the players sad? Okay, they can be sad. Just sometimes it's better to sympathize and empathize instead of being negative all the time. And don't give the excuse that we spent so much time watching. You have spent so much time watching for the past 30, 40 years, and not every time has the team done well. They have done well. We have appreciated them. They have been stopped at a hurdle. We have been unkind. But that's human nature. Would you do the same if this happened in the Hockey World Cup? India falls short at the semi-final level. I don't think it's going to happen. And then ironically, this is the third time that a semi-final repeat has happened. 2015, 2016 and 2019 semi-final we fell short, and that's the way it happens. Let's not be sad about it. If I started being sad about every time they lost, I would be a millionaire. I would give a penny every time they lost, I would be a millionaire. Yes, there's a lot to do overall, personal change, getting new individuals. Okay, go ahead, get in new individuals. It always happens. It's a sport. So let's not be too rigid about such minor things. Yes, it's a minor thing. Yes, reaching the grade of reaching the finals is something different. But this tournament is scheduled in such a way that yes, sometimes you lose energy, you lose things in your time. The other teams are able to take advantage of that, and they reach the finals despite them having not had an exciting group stage. But then who knows what will happen next? Who knows what's next for anyone? So going into the details, India did well to get to 168, but as always, a certain Sky did not score. So they obviously fell short by at least 30 runs. And then England was in a mood. Sometimes that's what happens. They came all guns blazing. They just started smashing left, right, and center. They took the bowlers, the captains, the coach sitting in the dugout by surprise, and they could not do anything about it. It happens. It's not as it hasn't happened before. Of course, a 10-wicket loss hurts in 16 overs, where a bowler whom we appreciated, but the same bowler who was appreciated was told that he's too predictable, he's not able to swing the ball, and he's bowling at 125. So now the whole speed obsession thing, and then the controversy around Shami. He is there, he's not there. He's there, he's not there. He was picked only when Bumrah went MIA. Yes, you could have picked up Umran Malik, but the selectors had their own thought. So why don't you ask the selectors why people weren't picked up? Why not a Prithvi Shaw? Why not a Shubman Gill? So many are waiting in the wings. They have done well in their domestic competition. What is the use of that? Yes, you may have to leave out a few individuals, but that's the way things are. You may have to do something which is wrong, but that's the way things are. Even the selection committee and the chairperson of selectors has to be questioned. Yes, they will be influenced by the coach and the captain, but I'm sure they have enough independence to make a final call. So yes, Ishan Kishan, Shreyas Iyer, Prithvi Shaw, Shubman Gill, and many more could have gotten a chance in Replacing who? Well, take a guess. So Sunday's final is between you know who, calling it a 1992 World Cup repeat. Both teams won the semi-final matches courtesy their openers having a 100-run partnership, but that was just one off. It's not going to happen again. They may have made to the final, but this is where the thing starts. Both India and New Zealand were caught unawares, were caught silly by the performance of the openers of both the teams. But now that both the teams know that their openers are the crucial links, they will be more careful. You will not see England go bang, 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 score 216 overs. Neither will the other side. Because if we go, then the rest of the team is under pressure. So beware of that. Both will be beware. It's a final. It's an opportunity to earn a championship again for both the teams. The one on the left has a more emotional connect because of a lot of things, but well, I have nothing much to say on a lot of things, but that's the way it is. But overall, let's not be too harsh, otherwise, I can be harsh on individuals who deserve that harshness. Episode 592 will be live on the 14th of November 2022.